Good day, viewers. Welcome to yet another session on project management. In this webinar, we are going to discuss more details, more about the various effects of BIM in the project management. So, in the previous sessions we had, my colleague has explained what is the use of BIM and how it is being implemented. As a follow-up, this webinar is going to showcase or discuss with a case study how the BIM has affected the various organizations when it comes to the project implementation. Earlier, it used to be said that BIM is conflicting with project management, but nowadays I am pretty sure that BIM enhanced with project management methodologies has resulted in a much more better delivery of project ever happened in the history. So once again, welcome to the Go Live sessions of CAD International, and I am Sharath. I will be the presenter for the day, and I will be discussing about the implications of BIM in the project management industries. Yes, as we discussed, we are going to see the effects of BIM in project management. So let us take a deeper analyze how the BIM implementation has affected the project management industry. So all my session is going to based on a real-time case scenario which we have identified as very relevant because this was at the time and the BIM implementation was at in the embryonic stage. So we could study the influence or effect of implementing a BIM or implementing BIM in a projectized organization. So according to this particular research we have done, we are presenting this session. So let me take you deep inside this. So before diving deep, I would express my credits to the following dignitaries. These are the journals which we have referred while making this presentation. And as you can see, all of these are good researchers and PMI members. So let us dive deep into the project directly. Before diving deep into the project or the case study, let us analyze what projects and networks do or play an important role when we are talking about discussing a case study. You can see that whenever a project is executed, it's not just single organization which is part of this project. You can see multidisciplinary or many companies which are associated with the various disciplines working hands in hands to make this project a success. So the thing is that not all projects are inter-organizational or intra-organization. It may depend. So the scope of the project is basically classified into two: intra-organizational projects and inter-organizational project. I believe you can understand from the terminology itself what this difference are. And also it is not just about the single company or a multiple company. It's also the base in which how they are being anchored to this project management practices. There are few organizations which follows the PM standards or project based organizations. Also there are few project network based organizations. So we have to identify this because we all know project management is a technique which definitely brings you success when you execute the project abiding all the 49 process groups. You can see that not all the organization executing the project do have a maturity model in the project methodologies. Some may be on the embryonic stage, some may be on the management acceptance level, some may be on the growth stage, as well as some may be on the maturity level. Each organization performs according to their stage in which their maturity level they have reached. So it is important, or you can find that different, because once a maturity model is once an organization, if it is having a maturity model of matured culture in the project management implementation, means you can see the standard methodologies being implemented, and these companies do have a very good track record of project completion as per the standard methodologies. They do have the lessons learned and everything for refining the processes and making the next project a better success. I'm not saying that the embryonic project management or embryonic stage maturity, embryonic level organization will be having a very less performance. Sometimes they do perform, but the key thing is sometimes they don't have a clear cut or the allied method or allied methodology to make the project a success. So that's the differences. So whenever we are looking into the case studies or whenever you are implementing the BIM processes into an organization, we should see whether this organization is project based or having some basic ideas. As our topic for today is about the BIM implementation, let me quickly go through this BIM thing. So digitalization, that's what I mean by BIM and this thing, because we all know that we are all familiar with the computer way before. I don't need to explain what's the importance of computer. So when I mean digitalization, I mean the implementation of BIM. The traditional method was to use the paper with a hand drawing, but in early 60s we had computer getting replaced with all these hand drawings and everything was done with the CAD files. Later on, moving to 80s, the implementing of 3D drawings was coming rising as a common factor. And in the early 20s, I mean 20th century, we can see the idea of BIM slightly started to get implemented. So BIM, a tool and a process for sharing the design information for project participants, providing a single model environment, has got a very good change in the industry. But we all know when we are moving to a new firm or when you are moving to a new position, we do have some uncomfortability to getting used to it. You can call it a student syndrome or something like that. Depends. I'm not exactly meaning the student syndrome, but yes. So when you move from a comfortable level to the next level, the way it is implemented gives you some extra effort because you are moving to a new condition. So this is what we are talking about, the implementation of BIM, and we are discussing today how the implementation of BIM will be affecting the project management. So you can see that BIM coordinator in an industry will be basically an architect if we are talking about a construction industry. If you are talking about an infrastructure project, it will be mostly coming from as the infrastructure engineers. If you are talking about a substation project, definitely it is going to be an electrical engineer. So it depends. We cannot say that BIM coordinators always will be from this planning department. It depends. It varies according to the projects. What BIM manager does is important. What he does, he merges separate models of the single discipline into one coordinated representation, that is the project management unit. So I think BIM has learned a lot from project management because it do integrate every work into a single output. So in today's discussion, as we said, we will be answering these two questions of how do project participants, their relationship and practice changes over the course of a project and beyond, and what is the role of BIM in this process and how does it influence the continuity of the project. So these are the research questions we are trying to get answer in this particular webinar session. So to answer this, what we are doing is that we are dealing with a project, the Southern Link project, which happened in Germany. So what is this project all about? Let's dive deep. The Southern Link project was a building located in the city center on a property measuring 10,000 square meter, creating 30,000 square meters of space across floors with a roof spanning 1,000 square meter sized atrium. It was meant to be an office building. At the end, as you can see that earlier it was constructed, the construction started as it meant to be as a hotel. But later on, as the scope changed, it was meant to be, or it was changed, the scope was changed to as a office building owned by an international investing firm, sold out already during the planning phase to the new owner. So you can see that the sponsor change has happened in between. So what we are discussing is discussing the idea or the concept of how this project was evolved. Also, it was rented out to a third party, as I said, an international organization based on Germany. For this particular, all the rooms, all the rooms was rented out to this particular organization. And the highlight of this particular construction was that it was a hybrid construction of concrete and timber, so that it looks little different. And the key thing is that the project was subjected to significant dynamics. This is what the key effects, or this is what I can just show you in a highlight about the Southlink project. So obviously, when we construct or when we come across a big project, what expectation does the sponsor or the owner have is that return of investment. So it was based on a pluralistic, sustainable project. That is, the building was with hybrid technology, appealing design, and electric mobility and readiness for the multi-tenant use. Almost a mall. So the innovation they have incorporated has brought many challenges to the architects, to the engineers, to the designers to incorporate the things. Adding insult to injury, the initial design was that it was meant to be a hotel, which was later on upgraded to be as an office. You can see how the change of scope goes past when you make a small change, a hotel to an office. So the scope was again redefined, and then again it was leased out to the tenant for a 10-year contract. So an additional requirement was coming up from the client saying that since it was an office, they require a technical requirement of having a backup supply. So you can see in this particular project that the change of scope was very swift, and the project itself was very complicated as it was a hybrid construction. So going through the timeline, you can see that in the pre-existing relationship, you have a project manager who had to contribute or who has to be in contact with all the architects, clients, construction engineers, fire prevention planners, construction teams, and everyone during the initial time, like when the scope was to construct a hotel. So the pre-design was made, the schematic design was developed, and the design development was also done. Even the construction documents was made. So after this only the change happened, and the expected cooperation in future changed to the diagram which we see on the right. The project manager had to have in contact with the old architect team along with the hybrid timber provider, construction specialist, general contractors, subcontractors, and the rest of the teams. So it is a collaboration. What happened in this collaboration? How it was possible because of this BIM model. But as I told, BIM was in the initial phases. No standard execution plans was there, which resulted the documentation to go till on 2018 along with the construction managing. So as you can see that BIM user in this project was just the project manager as well as the construction engineer during the initial time, because as we already discussed, BIM was on the embryonic stage. But moving on to the next model, when the scope was redefined, what happened? The new architects also was using BIM to analyze or to implement the idea in a much better way. the construction engineers, the project engineers, and also the general contractors were the BIM users, which led to easy collaboration between the projects. The end result was, you can see that the architects playing a vital role till the construction documents, whereas the MEP engineers did have the complete role doing the documentation and controlling, which was a result of the BIM implementation, which meant there was a better collaboration and better understanding among the team, which helped to improve the project management practices. So when this 49 process group along with the BIM practices was implemented, we got a better result and a better output, even though there was a change of scope. When we discuss about the BIM in practical nexus, the things which we have to know is that occurrence of weakness in the nexus of inter-organizational cooperation. Like when you work with different organization, different culture, you have different methodologies. That's why I said that the BIM execution plan is very important when you work with a project. So to manage a project with BIM or the project management will become more easier, as BIM execution plan relates much to our project charter. I'm not literally meaning it, but it's somehow providing a framework of how the things are getting executed. So in BIM software applications, we have two methodologies like BIM model on the cloud server, which is BIM 360, as well as the local BIM model with integration in the consolidated models. So the either methodologies we can implement. In a strategic level, project management meets once a month to make overarching decisions, many of them related to selected practices and BIM policies. In tactical levels, that is in the architects, the project managers, the engineers and planners meet in a shorter sprint of 14 days to clarify current issues, including the BIM data integrations. So you can see an iterative process of agile technology or agile methodology being also implemented to redefine the projects. At the operational level, the architects and planners meet to resolve the operational problems and in the organization nexus, including the BIM compatibility issues. So you can see that the various levels of PMO office interfering or making changes in the various iterations to make a better result out of it. As you can see that many of the BIM softwares are aiding Primavera, which is one of the best project management softwares. So when you look into the Southern Link project in earlier 2016, the activity and its implementation of digital capacity, it is compared. In 2016, the necessity to recruit the organization with BIM expertise was high because they were starting to move into a next phase, like the scope of the project was about to change. In 2017, the main activity they were concentrating was pre-selecting of the providers for the hybrid construction. Architect lacks BIM etc. expertise was the key thing. So what they have did is that they have to pump in the additional architects for executing planning with explicit BIM expertise, so they can come up with a BIM execution plan. When they come to the later part of additional 2018, additional team members, that is the planning engineers and the project manager, schedulers, was joining the project, searching for a general contractor who has got a much better expertise in the BIM implementation. So the implication for this was planner for the technical building equipment introduces new subcontractors who does the execution planning but without BIM. So in the later part, as you can see that in 2018, they were somehow come up with a fragmented BIM application, that is the initial BIM execution plan with a much better ideas. So, what are the organizational capabilities which have to be ensured while this adaptive process? So they have to update their hardwares and softwares. They have to have the BIM manager in their organization who can play the role of creating the BIM execution plan. They have to come up with more processes. Sometimes they have to add on. Sometimes they may not be implementing all the 49 process groups in project management. So in this case, we have to implement more processes, and they have to have a much better stakeholder relationship, that is through the adaptation of the relationship. So these are the key things which has resulted as implementing a BIM in this organization. So this is basically a case study which showed how the Southern Link project has changed its scope from a hotel to a office space with its various level of implications. I know with this you may have been got some topics or doubts to be clarified. You can contact me at manager@catdubai.com to raise all your clarifications, doubts and discussions. And with that, I end today's session. Hope all of you are doing good and well. Stay safe, stay connected and stay informed. Thank you.